Okay, so Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. The Gemara says Amar Rav, it's Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav, Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. You got a Rashi here, the Toilen Kol Chamesh. So the whole of the fifth hour is Toilah. So again, you have 2 hours of Aser Chometz. So that, again, the times that we have that you can't eat, Chometz is Aser. It's going like Rabbi Yehuda. It's not just Chatzos. It's the 2 hours before Chatzos, like Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara asks, where does he get it from? So now we look at this. The Iboy Sema. This is another reason why he says halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Rav says like this Tana, the Tanya, that we have a brisa. Arba Aser shechal liot b'Shabbos. So Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. Again, that's what happened this year, where you've got the whole problem with your matzahs and your bread. Mar ve'nes hakol, remove everything lefnei Shabbos. You get rid of all your chometz before Shabbos. V'soifrin trumas tameim, tolias v'tahirus. So there's 3 types of truma. Truma tamei is roi to be burnt. Really, what you do with truma tamei is you burn it. You use it for candles or for fuel. Teluyas is safek tamei. So it's truma that is safek tamei. Then you burn that. Now, maybe you shouldn't burn it because it's a safek. So why are we burning that? The tahirus, and for sure tahirus, you should not be burning the truma tahirus. So this is because it's all chometz. Since it's chometz, we got to get rid of it before Shabbos, because if you'll be stuck with it. If you don't eat it all on Shabbos, you'll be stuck with it. Umishayre min tahirus, and you leave over from the tahor. Mazon shtei shaos seudos kedei lechol ad dalet shaos. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehuda. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehuda says that you leave over 2 meals. So you have your Friday night meal and you have your Shabbos lunch meal. They're both chometz, and then you don't eat matzah, whatever you're doing then. I mean, the Ashkenazim have whatever minhagim they have, but it's also chometz matzah you can't have. If they have these chometz matzahs they make. If you don't eat matzah, because some people don't eat matzah from Purim, some people don't eat matzah from Rosh Chodesh, some people don't eat matzah, that day. Some people never eat matzah anyway. So, if you're, whatever you do after, between Chatzos and the Seder, but Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehuda, he says you have two sudas. So so again, Teluyas, Rashi says Savak Tamei, Savak Tahirus. We burn those. Mazun Shtei Su'udas for 2 meals. Velo Shalosh. There's the key words from Rashi. Velo Shalosh. One Shalosh Shalosh would be Sudas Lishit. So what happened to our Sudas Lishit? So the price is telling you have 2 meals, not 3 meals. The Kol Shalosh Sudos, the B'Shabbos, Arvis, Shachris, V'Mincha. So Rashi here is clearly saying you have 1 meal in the nighttime, connected the Arvis. 1 meal in the daytime, connected Shachris, and 1 meal in the afternoon, connected Arvit. Now at nighttime we don't always you tend to pastures. You eat the meal after Arvit. You eat the meal after Shachris, and the Ramah says that you should do mincha first, and then you should eat the meal and then do mincha. But there are chokim on him. The Erev Pesach also le'achol min mincha v'lemala. So Rashi says that it's mincha. So zman mincha is after chatzos. The iser of chometz is before chatzos. So Erev Pesach also le'achol min mincha v'lemala. Right. So Rashi here is saying that basically you don't do sudas lishit. Sudas lishit is also. Now, Rashi could have answered. So again, I'm being medayik here on what Rashi's saying. Rashi's saying you don't have Sudas Lishit on Erev Pesach when it's on Shabbos. Another way to understand the sugya is that you can't have chometz before. You can't have chometz after chatzos, which is when mincha is. So you eat your lunch before chatzos, and you eat some non-chometzy items for your Suda Shlishit after mincha. But that's not what Rashi says here. Rashi doesn't say have your Suda Shlishit from non-chometz items. He says that Erev Pesach Asr Le'achol Min HaMincha V'Lamala. So it's Asr Le'achol. Is he talking about Asr Le'achol chometz or Asr Le'achol anything? It's not Asr Le'achol chometz from mincha and afterwards. It's not true. Chometz is also 2 hours before chatzos. It's also to eat anything from mincha v'lamala. That's a Mishnah. In Arvei Pesach. The last parak. Now, apparently, the minhag in America is to you split your meal into two and have 2 meals. Now, that is a thing that people do. In Jerusalem, it's just like read the book and do whatever you want. I mean, there's so many different. It's just like I don't know. There's no like community like that where everyone just does the same thing. But it seems like in America, like everyone holds of that shita. Rashi clearly doesn't say that shita. And the pashtus again, Rashi's the pashtus of the brisa. The pashtus of the brisa is you have 2 meals. This is mazon shtei sudas. Why doesn't he just say 3 sudas and then you split up? You have your evening meal and you have 2 in the morning. So Rashi says there's no suda shishit in the morning. The Pashas of the Brisa there's no suda shishit in the morning. So here's Shabbos, Kufyud Zayin. You save 3 meals, 3 sudas. So Ketzad. Nafla deleka belayla. So there's a fire in the house. Then you save 3 meals. In Shachris you save 2 meals. And in Mincha you have the Suda Zachas. So if there's fire in the house, so you save 1 meal once it's happened after Mincha. So Tosfos b'Mincha Matzilin Mazon Suda Zachas. Mikan mashma de zman achilas shlishis b'Shabbos he min Mincha v'Lamala. This is saying you can't do. There's no such thing as Suda Shlishit before Mincha. The law ka'oisem shemachalkin Suda Shachris. So again, here is this Shabbos. Tosis is not talking about Pesach. He's just talking about any Shabbos. It seems to be those people around who divide up their lunch, their breakfast meal, whatever you want to call it, into 2. Uvarchim ben time, and they say Berchas Hamazon in the middle. Umihu maha. So not like those people because you can't do Suda Shishit in the morning. Okay, like a nafkamina would be if you're staying in a hotel or something, and you're eating the breakfast there, so you can kind of do that as your lunch. But even if you have like a 2 or 3 hour lunch or whatever, you can't just bench and then do have some more of your breakfast. Because it's not Suda Shishit, you can't divide it up. You have to wait until there's Zman. There's a Zman for your Shachris meal. There's a Zman for your Suda Shishit, and it's after Mincha. Umihu mehad amrina b'Pesachim perak. This is where we are. Yodal shechali up b'Shabbos. Misharim mazon shtei sudos ein raya. So Tosis is saying it's not a raya from here. Tosis is saying this is the shita. It's just you can't prove it from our brisa and Pesachim. Mit'ei misharim mazon gimel sudos because why is only 2? It should be 3 if we eat that. She'ein lasot beit seuda shachris. The hakeven she'oichel hakol shachris. Hashav kesudas achas. Because there, when you're eating the whole thing, it's not a raya, because that's called you're eating everything at shachris. That what exactly are you doing? You have your meal, and then you just continue the meal with benching in between. And since you're eating everything at shachris time, that's just considered 1 meal. V'od amari sheyesh kan iser bracha she'ein tzricha. So there you go for all your Americans out there. Gabi beer ubeosher b'chumash the kamar v'nisi sefer Torah achrina. So you're in the middle of an ikri, so that you can bring a sefer Torah and then read it, because he's moving. In Yoima, the Kohen Gadol is moving in between. We'll just bring another one. So since it's a bracha she'ein tzricha, Therefore, we don't just bring another Sefer Torah in order to read from it. We read from the same Torah. So therefore, here, in breaking up the same meal, it's the same bloody meal. Why are you breaking that up? So then into two, so that's just a bracha she'ein tzricha. Again, there are, I think, some Sephardim who hold that there's no din of Isser bracha she'ein tzricha on Shabbos, and they have these little bracha parties, which they do. I think Max is a Sephardi, he probably knows, where they go and they'll eat nuts and peanuts and all these type of things, the mazonos, in order to get the brachas and then do hamotzi. Now it's all just bundles of bracha she'ein tzricha, but like that's their shita. Especially on Shabbos, there's some people are worried they don't make enough brachas because you don't have the Shemon Esrei. You don't have 3 times the Shemon Esrei because there's 7 brachas instead of 19 brachas. So you're missing a lot of brachas. So people. So here's a Rosh in Shabbos. Kuf Ches is the same place. So that you wash the kalim for Shabbos for the needs of Shabbos. Right, so you can't wash, for tomorrow, for Sunday's lunch. You can't wash up the place. You can eat it for Shabbos. Kate said the karas that you eat in them are on Arvis, then you can wash them to eat them on Shachar. So if you have one set of plates or whatever, you wash them at nighttime for the lunch. You didn't lechol behem b'mincha. So again, this is the Tana Rabbonos. He's quoting it. This is a very strange lotion. Yeah, Shacharis medichin lechol behem b'mincha. Why is it saying? Because that would be like sudoshi shit. It's saying that you wash the Shacharis ones for mincha. So again, it's mashma in this price so that sudoshi shit is toile in mincha. So once you've had your sudoshi shit, don't wash them because you're washing them for your the malva malka. So your cups and your plates, then you can go the whole day because there's no keva l'shtia. You can drink at any point in time. So this is the lotion of the Rosh, that the sudoshi shit starts at mincha and not beforehand. And those that they stop their Suda Shachris into 2. So, I mean, the Rosh is also called, he's called one of the end of the Tosfos era. He's not really a Tosfos, but he's a Tosfos. So he's obviously has the same. He's living in the same parts of town Tosfos is, and there's still those people there. They break their Suda into 2. Kodem Zman and Mincha. Lo yafa hem oisim. They're not doing good. Lo yafa hem oisim. Now again, it's not necessarily so true that just because it's not good you do it on normal Shabbos, therefore it's not good you do it on a Shabbos, on Shabbos Erev Pesach, because there you should just wait till Mincha and eat your Suda Shishit after Mincha. But on Erev Pesach you don't have that option because of Chametz. The Kain Mashma in Perachim, but the Tanya you dar shechal b'Shabbos marvim nesel kol v'nei Shabbos marshem mazon shtei Sudas. The stage Sudas ain't tzarech. So the Rosh argues on the Tosfos and says it is mashma from this brisa in pesachim that there's no suda shishit after mincha or before mincha. Now again, here the suda shishit ain't tzarech l'shayir the chametz aser misheish shos lamala. This is completely different to Rashi. Sheish shos lamala is before chatzos. It depends what misheish, the beginning of sheish or the end of sheish, but he's talking about chometz. He's talking about chometz is aser. Rashi says aser la'achol. Alma she'ein zmana ele b'mincha. V'hach raya ein nearly the af im yechlek suras achad l'shtayim mazon suras achasi. So there he says it's not. Again, he says it's not. And what he said, he's flipping that it doesn't. He just said it was a raya, kain mashma, and then he says it's not nearly. So who was he quoting up above? Even if you divide up one suda into 2. It's called one Suda. Now, let's say in general, our Suda Shishit is just the leftovers from lunch. So if we have, we start lunch, can you really call it lunch? At 9 o'clock, and if we stop at 10 and then eat the same food at 10:30, so we're just having the same meal in 2 parts. But so we started at 9, you end it, and then you started at 3 or 4 or 5. But it's kind of the same meal because it's the same food, it's the same stuff. So it could be like on Shavuos, if you have a dairy meal and then you have a meat meal. So then it's like 2 completely different sudas. Maybe something like that would be a bit different, because like at what point what does this mean if you break up one suda into 2? So what are the gedarim of that? So if I have two completely separate sudas, I get the airline meals. I get a little suda in a plate, and then I have a completely different one. So are they two different sudas? What exactly is the getter here? Here's the Panei Yeshua on our Rashi. Mazon stay shows for lo shalosh. Erev Pesach also lachum minachal mala. Shalom v'ken Rabbi. Many people say Tamu Loshen Rashi is there, right? So this is so Shlamim. The Shalom people, the perfect people, and also many people who aren't Shalom. So you got like the good guys and everyone else as well. They're wondering on Rashi what's going on in Rashi. Taha belav hachi also lechol mechamesha os v'lamala. What's going on with Erev Pesach os lechol mechamesha? Mishum Isra Chometz. So they have an Isra Chometz, so therefore why is he skipping out? Typically because of Chometz, and he's jumping to the Mishnah in Arvei Pesachim, the whole thing. So Rashi, Pshutim Uburim, but Mukimo. Mukimo means it's like the cleanliness or the victory is with him. Mishum the Kasha lay, here's the Kasha. The Lachora Kol Hach Milta, the Mishari Mosna Shtei Shuas. Milta to Pshita what do I even need it for? I don't even need you to tell me that. Why? What's the chiddush? De'i le'inyan ikr dina. If it's the ikr din, the shayra the filu b'chol. Nami katani la'ayel mashu misha yinichem b'tzina. So we had at the beginning that like even on the weekday that when because you did the b'dichas chometz. After your b'dichas chometz, you got chometz left over for that you're going to eat tomorrow. So you leave over for whatever you're going to eat tomorrow. You leave it over b'tzina. So therefore, the fact that you're leaving over, that's not the chiddush, because we know even though you've done the bedika and even though whatever Shabbos Erev Pesach is coming in, of course you leave over. Orcha de milta nami l'shar shtei sudos echas la'arvis echas l'shachris. That's the orcha de milsa. So that's not a chiddush. Ve'im mishum shalosh shayar b'Shabbos shlosh. So is this the chiddush? The tzorch sudos shlishis. Ha nami peshita. It's also posh. You don't have to tell me that. Kevin de sudos shlishis b'mincha. So again here, the Panei Yeshua is saying it's so poshut that you can't have sudashi shit on Shabbos that you don't even have to tell me 2 meals and not 3, because obviously not 3 for sudashi shit, because mincha tzavik kadita prepare a kol kisvei. That's what we saw here. See the Tosfos. So therefore, why did Rashi say this? What he said? Shapir itzrich lemisni station of anasur misham just tzak tzakadachu. What's the havamina? The nahi de ikers man sudash lishipa mincha hayinu b'chol shabbatos shana dorchas de milcha hachi who he. So that's all during the week. And as I said, you can make a difference between whatever you do if you split. So the Rosh and Tosfos are saying don't split the meal in the shachar in the morning and have your sudash shit in shachars. That's all during the year where it's possible afterwards. Therefore, it's a orchway. Mashenke be'erev Pesach shechalios b'Shabbos. Have a minute tzarich le'achol sudash lishit kodim shach hamishas. You have to do it. Kevin de ketiv talas zimni hayom. So where do we get sudash lishit from? There's a few sources, but one of them it says in the pasuk hayom 3 times. One for the evening, one for the morning, and one for the mincha. Therefore, since it says it 3 times, we need to have 3 sudash lishits. That's the havamina. The kaven to be'erev Pesach asur lechomer mincha lamala matzah. You can't have matzah im kain yaktim. I have a great idea. Let's do it earlier and eat before shachamishis b'chometz. The ikar mitzvah so belechem, because the ikar mitzvah is with lechem. So you have it. Let's have it. The ikar mitzvah lechem. So again, he says the ikar mitzvah belechem, not meaning you have to do sudash shit on lechem. No, the ikar mitzvah is lechem. Therefore, we should do it earlier and do it before the 5th hour, so we can have sudash shit on Erev Pesach Shabbos before Mincha. That's the Havamina. Kamash Malan Afilo Hachilo. There's the Chiddush. Eile Yekaimna Bemina Targamina Kain nearly. So the Bnei Yeshua here is not learning like I'm saying. Rashi is saying don't do it b'chlal. He says Aser Le'achol. Now here is Mincha Gedoyle or Mincha Katana. Is a Maklokas there. If it's Mincha Gedoyle, then you can't eat anything, because once you say mincha, then it's already zman mincha is already too late. If it's mincha katana, you can do mincha and then eat mine targima. So the Panei Yeshua also clearly saying you can't have Sudas Rishit in the morning. So the Chasam Sofer, on the pesachim, Mishar Minute Tahirus, 2 Sudas Gedei Lechol Ad Dalet Shos. Rashi, Gimel 3 Sudas, Lo de Sudas Gimel Shabbos Zmana Acher Mincha. It's Asur Lechol Min Mincha Lamala. V'kavar Tzachu B. My people were crying before me. When you look in the Lashon of the Brisa, it says Mozon 2 Sudas ad Dalet Shalos. V'lo Amor Stam ad Dalet Shalos. So he says 2 Sudas until the 4th hour, not just Stam until the 4th hour. And if you think that you can, eat more, so go for it. He says Davka 2 meals until 4 hours. So what do we learn from this? It's a Kula and a Chumrah. The Chumrah is what I say that the Rishayim, that the Suda, in one Suda you're able to eat more than you can eat if you divide it into 2 Sudas. So Lefi Mash Kosov, the Rishayim are saying that in one meal you eat more than in 2 meals. So if you the general science, I guess, behind that would be that it takes time for as food goes into your stomach, it sends messages to your brain that you're full. So you overeat because it takes time for that messaging to take place, and even though you're full, you don't know it yet, so you keep on. You're still hungry. You haven't got the news yet, so you keep going. So here that you can eat more than what you can eat if you divide into 2 sudas, because after Birchas Hamazon nistam hatzrucha it ve'imkein tuva kamashmalan, that you sheshayir masha yachol. So you leave over what you will eat until 4 hours. That when you divide it into 2 sudas, that you don't make a mistake to l'shar masha yochol lechol ad dalet sha'os k'shelo hayemafte klal bein time. So if you say that you're going to have 3 sudas until dalet sha'os, then you'll overestimate what you're going to do because you eat more in 1 suda than you do in 2 sudas. Therefore, when you have the 2, you'll have chametz left over. Shaz yichol l'tefei tuva kamashmalan. Shal kecha yachol sudas shabas achas arves ve'achas shachris. The yistam esrucha ben time. The yamtim kadesh yitorer taiva hamachol pam shnes. You have to wait until so don't have your second thing. Only have 2 meals, and then you've got to wait until you have taiva again. And then there's a kula. Do you do it? The eina doima misha oichel gimel sudas biyom. Akar lo yimalei bitno besudas base. So you can't stuff yourself in the second meal in order that you'll have sudas rishit. Also with a tavon. And the Mishnah Berurah says somebody with eyes in his head will leave room for his sudas rishit. He won't stuff himself, so he'll have room in for sudas rishit. And also you got to leave room for the Malva Malka, so don't stuff yourself. But sometimes you just stuff yourself at lunch, especially if you've got late lunch and it's good food, and then you don't want your sudas rishit because you never saw it coming. Shabbat Erev Pesach lo yachol ki im beis sudas. So therefore, the chiddush there is you only have 2 sudas. Ve'im ken yachol yachol yoter be'elu v'shtei sudas ki suda gimel zmana achar mincha. Ve'az also yachol afilu matzah shira. So that again, this is the Chazon Sofer, so it's more like the minhag of the Ashkenazim. It's also the matzah shira at that time. Ve'im ken yachol ata yoter. So therefore, you got to eat more now because you won't eat anything later. Rashi Zal. So that you have this ulcer to eat afterwards. He's kind of going here that it's ulcer lachol even matzah shira. So what does it mean ulcer lachol? It's not ulcer lachol chametz. You can't eat matzah. You can't eat matzah shira. You can't have these things, and therefore Rabbeinu Tam has a sheet of the even matzah shira is ulcer. So maybe Rashi's going like that. So the Iker kind of chiddush there of the Chasam Sofer is that he's saying 2 meals and not 3 is that you have to pace yourself, and that there is no 3rd meal, so therefore you have to pace yourself in your 2nd meal. Here's the Meiri also Lin Mash and Matzilin Bashir zeh 2 sudas. We never said sudas shishit because sudas shishit is only a במנחה. And it's a dichoyehu. It's pushed off there biyom zeh. Mitoris iser matzah ledaita. So again, he's going that it's that's also to do it. It's you can't. There is no sudas shishit before mincha. In a sechem more, mikom ein stira mikan alav she'efshor sheba הפוסק זה אין צורך להרבוס בשיר אלא שבמצמצם סודס ומסק לשתיים. ושם החוששו, so Chazal or Choishe Shema Yimshach Achar Shulchano. Bivol ze Isser Torah. So you have your Chazal don't want you to have Sudashi shit on Erev Pesach, because if you have your Sudashi shit, then you might continue in your meal, you'll miss the cutoff of Isra Chometz, and then you'll continue to eat Chometz at the time when it's also. So on a normal day, in Chol or whatever, whether you eat Chometz or not for breakfast, you have, you go and you daven, and then you eat your bread and you get rid of all your bread. But here you daven, you eat your bread, and then you stop, you bench, and then you eat more bread. And then that Suda, then maybe you'll be mamshech in that Suda. So he's saying that there's a Tekonos Chachamim, learning from the Brisa, there's a Tekonos Chachamim to not have Suda Shishit in case you end up eating Chometz after the Zmana Isser. So here's the Yirאים. He says here, so the Yod Dal Shechali B'Shabbos, we remove everything before Shabbos, and we leave 2 Sudas in order to eat the Arba until the 4th hour. Per stay Sudos, stay Sevias. 2 Sudas is 2 acts of satiety. So divided into 3 Sudas. And per Zeh, Ketavti lo Adiyah she'ein mikan raya she'sudas shishis shel Shabbos yachol kodem arba shos lo yetzeh. So here the Yirאים, finally we find somebody who says you can have something. It's not mochrach in the Brisa. The Brisa says it's not 2 sudas, it's 2 seities, and you break up one of the seities into 2 meals in order that you can have sudas shishit. Umoter lefud matzos be'erev Pesach even on the chametz kaim. So here's as far as, so it's not 2 sudas. Stay sudas, stay sevias, that you're satiated with 2. So it's not just 2 sudas. Yeah, but the Iker, again, the Iker Chiddush there, he's saying that it's not 3 sudas. You don't need 3 sudas. That's why he doesn't say 3 sudas. Since you split 2 sudas into 3, you don't want 3 sudas. 3 sudas would mean 3 whole sudas. But no, you have 2 sudas, and since you're splitting one of the sudas into 2, it's 2 sudas. So it's quite meduik in the brisa, but meichteisi. I mean, how would you? It's like if you were to say 2 sudas, you'd say 2 sudas. If you say 3 sudas, you say 2 sudas. I mean, there's no way to prove it from the brisa, because whatever way you're trying to teach, you say the same thing. So it's a difficult deal, but it works. So the Shulchan Aruch. So again, the Shabbos is Erev Pesach. So therefore, on Thursday night, you do the Bedika. And you remove everything before Shabbos. And you leave over Shtei Sudas, the Tzorach Shabbos. We don't know what that means, though. Maybe it's 3. The Sudas Shlishis, Zman Achar Mincha. Bang! There you go. There's no Yirאים here. We're not... You have to do it after Mincha, Shulchan Aruch. There you go. Va'az eni yechol lasoita lo b'matzah v'lo b'chometz. You can't do it. Yeah, not with matzah, not with chometz. El b'matzah yeshira. Right, so there's the Fardim going matzah yeshira, and you need to do it before the 10th hour, because by the 10th hour, that's you're getting into when you can't eat. B'chlal, that's in the Mishnah. You have to stop eating before the seder, so you eat the matzah b'tevon. Here's the Ramah. In our places, we don't eat matzah shira. So here we have the maklokas and the matzah shira. Right, so I think someone was asking me before Pesach if it can eat matzah shira or not. I was like, no. And then they kept on asking, can we eat matzah shira? I'm like, no, you can't eat matzah shira. This is where it is. Shulchan Aruch says you eat matzah shira for sudas shit. Ramah says, you don't eat matzah shira. As we see later, and says in there, you can't have sudas shit, but many peros or bashar or basav adagim, as we see above. So, I mean, up to this point, up to Shulchan Aruch, it's kind of obvious and clear that there is no, basically, you just don't do sudashi shit. You do it with fruits and fish or whatever. Again, peros are fruits. Boss of a dog. So after all this, and everyone also, the Shulchan Aruch says, don't do it. We have the Magen Avram. Umishayrin, you leave over. Even your meal in Shachris, he's divided up into 2. Right? Now, this is the source of that minhag Americanai, or whatever you want to call it. And it's so yesh oimrim de yotze b'zeh. So the basic idea, and again, this is why people are doing it. Basic idea is that what's the point of a chumrah? Is that someone says you're yotze. So you're doing something that is not al pi halach, otherwise not a chumrah. But somebody says you're yotze with it, so therefore you're doing it because he says yotze. So in order to be yotze all shitas, you try to do something to be yotze all shitas, and we burn the chametz, even though we hold by the chachamim that you don't need to burn the chametz. But since Rabbi Shimon holds that you need to burn the chametz, so then we burn the chametz. However, to Machlokas Rishonim is when you're supposed to be burning the chametz. So we kind of go like nobody when we burn it. Tosfos says you have to burn it after chatzos, and Rashi says you have to burn it until, you just have to get rid of it. So, but we burn it to be Yotze Rebbe Shimon. But we don't go like Rebbe Shimon. The halach is not like Rebbe Shimon. So we don't need to burn our chametz. So here, just this idea, Yesham Yotze B'zeh, so you want to be super machmir and everything and super from whatever, so therefore do it. But he's bringing the Mordechai and the Bach and the Kolbo. So the Mordechai, Rabban Savri Bahadi Oraisa. This is in Kuf Yud Zayin in Shabbos, which is where the Tosfos is from. Yochazak Rabbanan, Ksav Rabbi reminds the Af Suda Shlishit Chayiv Lasot Al Pas. So again, this is we're not chayiv. We don't poskin you're chayiv to do it on pas. Again, so this would be a chumrah of sorts that you're. So Harav Eliezer Memitz says you're chayiv to do on pas because you to be in your mind the chayiv aleya beberchas hamazon. You need to have something that you're going to be chayiv for berchas hamazon on. The time at hahu kro that we take it from 3 sudas alechem kai, because we say the yom is going on the man, and that's the lechem. So the raya from brachos is toyim. We didn't say of shorosh chodesh. Yeah. So if you make a mistake and you don't say yala v'yavo, iboy achil, iboy lo achil. So if you have a meal on Rosh Chodesh and you don't say yala v'yavo, do you have to repeat? So the answer is no, because you don't have to have a Suda on Rosh Chodesh. So if you don't say Ritzei in the Friday night meal, you have to repeat benching. If you don't say Ritzei on the morning meal, you have to repeat. But if Tosfos has a safek for Sudas shit, if you don't say Ritzei, if you have to repeat, because you don't have to have, Tosfos basically says you don't have to have the meal on bread, and therefore you're not mechayiv to make the thing. So it's a safek if you have to return it. The pashtus you don't have to repeat it because you don't have to do Sudas shit on bread. So that goes not like this. So if you don't want to eat Shabbos for Yom Tov, it's lo sagi to lo achil. So on Rosh Chodesh, you can eat if you want. You don't have to have a Suda on Rosh Chodesh. But on Shabbos and Yom Tov, you have to eat. Perish midi de mavrech alei berchos hamazon. So that's the. So then he's saying that you have. That you have the Suda shishit on davka on bread. So here in Kov Yud Ches. So the plates for Shacharis that you wash them for mincha. So again, it's saying that davka you have to wait for the mincha time in order. You wash your plates, and then you davka have to wait for the mincha time. And something raya from here that if you break up your meal and you have berchas hamazon between the 2 meals, it's a ta'os, and you're not yotzi das sudas shit. Because here it's mashma that you have to eat the sudas shit and mincha. And don't divide up your sudas Shacharis into 2. Those bring it right from pesachim. And you leave over the 2 sudas. So you have until the 4 Shabbos. So it's because if you eat your sudas shishit before Dalet, he says before 6, Shabbos lo yetze. Amnam Ravia Ketav Perach Hayashin Dafila lo berech ben time b'Shabbos v'Shachris yichol smoke sudas shishis al ha shtorbela. What the hell's that? hayinu dagim peres the cave into eino ragel b'chol ika hakera. V'arem peres beis sudas beis shuas or otzem beis shvius yichlek gimel sudas. So here you see he brings the re'im. So here the Mordechai is bringing the re'im in which we saw that it's the two sudas is the gimel sudas. So I mean, this might not be what the Magen Avram is bringing there. He brings the Mordechai, see Paris, and the Bach and the Kolbo. So so in general, basically everyone holds that there's no Sudashi shit. You can't either. There is no Sudashi shit, or you just skip it. I think the Aruch HaShulchan had a thing saying basically where there is no Sudashi shit. So is this Aruch HaShulchan? That's where he said Ubezoy here Ketziv Rashbi would be Oisik B'Toyer B'Malkim Sudash Shlishis. Yish Lavim Matu Rashbi Lo Hayeh Yechol HaKayim Sudash Shlishis Be'ezeh Medevarim Nisarvu. So we have all these things that you can do Sudashi shit on. What the hell is he doing? Just sit and learn Torah. And again, I've heard this said in these modern Orthodox shuls I would go to in America. They would do, no, you don't need to have the Sudashi shit. You just learn some Torah. And then when I came to Israel, like nobody was doing that. It was kind of very bizarre. What happened to this whole, we don't have to do Sudashi shit thing. This is the Barur Dechol Zehu Milta Yiseira. See, so here, this is the pshat of the Aruch HaShulchan that on this Shabbos, the Shabbos Zu on Erev Pesach at Shabbos, there is no mitzvah at all for Gimel Sudas. So you can't do it. You just can't do it. Yom Kippur. What do you do for Sudas Shed on Yom Kippur and Shabbos? Do you divide up Friday's meal into your Friday breakfast into 3 meals, and now you yotze everything? Arehu Shabbos Erev Pesach le'inyan Suda Shlishit afilu im nemor de Isra Achilas Matzah Erev Pesach u'min Rabban. If you want to say, yes, you have Suda Shlishit as a mitzvah deraisa, and the Isra Achilas Matzah Erev Pesach it's only the Rabbanin. Mikom Makom ha metzinu b'mitzvah aseh gemura shenitchu b'sheva al taseh. So you have a proper mitzvah like blowing the shofar. That's by Sheva al Taseh it's nidcha. So for sure that we can be nidcha Sudashi shit with Sheva al Taseh. With negaziris to Rabbanon and kamo shoifer velulav b'Shabbos. Because sheken shenikha mitzvah Sudash Shlishis. For sure Sudash Shlishis can be by Sheva al Taseh. But kevin shekain batle le b'Shabbos zu mitzvah to Sudash Shlishis. So therefore, see, it's just saying here that the mitzvah of Sudashi is bottle. That's it. We don't have Sudashi shit on Erev Shabbos. That's Chazan, the Erev Pesach, the Chazan Shabbos. The Kevin, the Surah Gemura, Iyefshar. And Mele, the Ein Shaykh, le Multa Beperos of Bebosser V'Dagam. He says, you don't have to fill yourself up on, the Peros and Bosser. You don't need this at all. She'ein Sarah Klal Bezeh. We don't need it because we don't have a Sudashi shit to fulfill. But the Vadai Gam in the Torah, Mitzvah Le'ochel Hakazayis Matzvah L'Tayavon. So that the matzah that's in the seder, that's a mitzvah deraisa, b'te'avon. That's a mitzvah deraisa. So don't eat perus after mincha. So you're suffix. You're having issues with that mitzvah then later in the seder, and that's the time of Rashbi. Isaac b'toyrim ein mitzvah klal b'shabazu le'achol sudash lishis. So he's saying that's the whole story of Rashbi, because. That's how we explain the Zohar. Rashbi would be Oisik B'Torah, but Malcolm Sudash Lishis. Now I don't know what it says. Is that Stam? Is that Davka on Erev Pesach? But the Aruch HaShulchan is learning. That's only talking. Of course he eats Sudash Lishit. What do you think? Rashbi doesn't eat Sudash Lishit. Of course he eats Sudash Lishit. But the Zohar here is referring to Erev Pesach, the Chals on Shabbos. That there we have no mitzvah Sudash Lishit. And since there's no mitzvah, there's nothing to do. You can't have a Suda. You can't have, and even eating anything is going to be putting pressure on your mitzvah deraisa of the matzah. So sit and learn Torah, and that's what Rashbi would do, and that's what it says, and that's the So again, obviously thousands of years later, you'll just change it into I don't have to do sudusi shit because I don't want to, and I'll read a few pesukim in a chumash, and then I'll be yoitze. We're saying that's not what it is, and then we don't have the mitzvah. So ruba deruba of Rishonim and Meforshim and Pashtus of the sugya is saying that you do not do sudusi shit before mincha. There's the Yirאים who seems to his svara picked up by the Magen Avram, and again even the Mordechai is quoting the Yirאים, so the Mordechai is not like his own shita, and then the Magen Avram says so that's been picked up because Yeshomer that you're yotze, so therefore you have this tiny bit of light coming through. Maybe you're yotze with that. So therefore, you're doing those things that all the other Rishonim are saying is also that Tosfos says don't do. It's lo tov what they're doing. It's a bracha she'ein tzricha, and you shouldn't do it. And it's a strange. I know it's a strange. I mean, I don't know why people follow that. And obviously, if you ask them, they're not going to know because they don't know why they do things. But there's I mean, whatever road you turn, you always have opportunity costs. And it seems to me that the Pashtus is like the Aruch Shulchan. You don't have a Sudus. There's no Sudus shit. And issue where like everyone was doing nates, and so people had such issues bloody getting to shul because of nates. And like, what's the problem? Why not just start at a? And people say they have to do nates because they have to break up the Suda into two, so they have to start extra early. You can't just start at 7. Finish at 9. And again, you have the thing where their Shabbos morning services are so quick on, so why don't they do that every week? Why do you have to elongate everything and drag everything out every other week? And you have it's for you can just finish in an hour. So why do you spend 2.5 hours every week? But seemingly there's no real need bichlal for all these splitting of the sudas and doing nates all the time, and there's really no need for it. And the chayra people should learn the sugi, and I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but they're gonna say it's a Magen Avram that people have been toifus on because, and it's not the Magen Avram doesn't say you're yotze sudashi shit with that. He says there are some people that say you're yotze sudashi shit with that. Therefore, if you do it, maybe you'll be yotze. Yeah, so even if you're yotze, so on the other side, you're making the brachas she'ein tzricha. So even with that, it's doubtful that you should really be following this Magen Avraham. Even as the Orach, the Shulchan Aruch says no, and the Ramah says not. So I don't know why everyone follows it.